do when I can't do the show from my porch anymore when it gets too cold.
Well, let's see. We got this
Build an
live. We got
enclosure?
that live.
We're gonna have to have a Kickstarter to enclose Jim's ports.
It's all good. Hey, everybody out there in internet land, YouTube land, Twitch land,
Cyberspace!
the interweb, cyberspace. Why does no one use that word anymore?
It's a series of tubes.
Cyberspace has kind of become something.
It's now virtual and cloud.
It's virtual and cloud, and cyberspace is really only said in like science fiction now.
80s movies.
80s movies. Cyberspace.
Ghost in the Shell.
It's those "you get off my lawn" people that still use that.
Get off my lawn.
Let's see. It has been 2 weeks now since 2 weeks since we were live due to illness of me. As you can hear, I sound a little hoarse still. We actually have another.
Nah, you're more like a jackass.
We got another bar member or another member of the Geek EZ who's out and down due to illness as well. Tank, feel better if you're listening to us. Yeah, that was about me the other day. But let's see what else. Yeah, but Britain been a busy 2 weeks, so we're gonna get going on it, and we're gonna rate. What was it? We're gonna ruffle some feathers and hackles, raise some hackles, kind of thing, and that kind of whatnot. But we will be right back after this.
The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. The opinions expressed do not reflect this station or any affiliated partners. Listener discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geek EZ.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about? It's about nothing.
That was really loud.
Yeah.
I updated everything, and I guess it's now stereo too. It wasn't stereo before. That came through both my speakers for the first time on my headset.
That was sweet.
That was loud. But yeah, way to go. What was it? XSplit. Thank you for updating and making things really, really, because now I have to go back in and tweak all my settings because that was a little outrageous.
Yeah, I like the opening.
Let's see. Where do we start right off the bat? Well, let's go back to last week, because last week is when we got The Last Jedi, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Which would be that? It started off with the poster, which is really red. Really, really red.
The bad guy's usually looming in the back. Oh, hello, Luke.
Well...
Yeah, and if you follow poster rules, it makes Luke look like he's going to be the bad guy.
But the poster rule is already screwed by episode 2, and I showed that in the chat earlier. Episode 2 doesn't
Star
have
Wars
a bad
was
guy.
screwed by episodes 1,
But yes,
2,
if
and
you
3.
look... Oh, come on. It's not that bad. You know what? Star Wars is still like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still good. So... That's how I look at it. I mean, at Star Wars, I can, as long as I get a fast forward button, it's like episode 1, fast forward through all the scenes with sand, you're fine.
So, I guess it means Jar Jar is pineapple.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, you know what? I like Hawaiian pizzas, so that's okay. I can actually deal with Jar Jar because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to deal with porgs in this one. Because I don't see any reason for those little screaming things, aside from Chewbacca maybe munching on them every once in a while.
I was going to say, I hear they're delicious.
But The whole him looming in the background thing. Now, the biggest thing that got me was like I watched the trailer for the first time and I was like, holy deceptive editing, Batman. They did such a good job of taking non-sequential scenes and throwing them together to make you go, what? What?
Right.
And
Yeah.
the trolling that went on with Luke's line, that is trolling on an epic level right there. For the past, year now, people have been speculating and rumors have been going around as to who Luke is, who Snoke is, who that is, what's this role, who's that role. And Luke says it perfectly. This is not going to turn out the way you think. And I was like, ha ha, you got trolled.
Never gonna give you
Out of the 2
up,
minutes, what
never
was
gonna
the one-
let you down.
No, that's a Rick roll, not a
Yes.
troll.
Yeah, not a trollololo. Trollololo is that, Ukrainian dude?
Russian.
Russian. Either way, Ukrainian, Russian. It's all the same.
True.
I can say that
Yep.
because I'm Russian. But,
Dude, you slow as hell.
that's true, I really am. The, 2 minutes, in that 2.5 minutes to start, I think the one thing that I was actually, that was the whole ending thing with Rey and the hand and all that, she's obviously not talking to him in that scene.
They're obviously in two different locations.
Yes, 2 different locations. He's surrounded by burning embers, and she's in a dark place with maybe a single fire light, but it's a different location. But the one thing that made me go, oh, I don't feel so bad now, was watching the walkers move.
They look like apes.
Yes.
They've been specifically described as having a simian-like gait.
Yes. And I was like, okay, those don't look as bad as I was fearing.
Also, is it me, or do those little speeder things that we see look like they're built out of repurposed B-wings?
I don't know, and they just look like they're garbage thrown together.
And
Are we talking about the Republic bombers?
No, the Republic bombers that we saw, I saw a really good model of one. They're very Flying
Weird.
Fortress inspired.
Mm.
They are covered in bubble turrets.
They almost seem like a step back from some of the stuff we've seen, though.
So, are porgs sentient?
No, but the other aliens that live on the planet are.
Well, because some article I was saying implied the porgs ask somebody to do something for them.
What?
It may be because I think it's been done in the old expanded universe where the porgs individually are not sentient, but together they form some sort of hive mind that is. It could be that. And considering they're on a planet that's supposedly steeped in the Force, it could be that they're Force sensitive, so they're all telepathic.
True. Now, like I said, and out of those 2.5 minutes, when you guys, I'm sure we've all watched it more than once, was there anything that jumped out at you guys that was like, oh,
Just the
Chewie makes a friend.
just the troll editing. I loved it.
yes.
Um,
If that porg's name is not Han So Little, I'm going to be very, very upset.
That's terrible. And I'm sorry, but episode 2 does have a bad guy. The love story, which is looming over everything on the poster, is the bad guy in episode 2.
All right. I don't like sand.
Sand is the bad guy.
It gets everywhere. It's coarse. It's rough. Not like here, where I have to speak this stilted dialogue. Okay, yeah, the troll editing was awesome. That's probably one of the best put together fake outs of a trailer that put so much into a trailer but told you absolutely nothing about the film aside from making you completely lose your mind over the visuals.
Oh yeah, the whole time I'm going, oh boy, this is gonna be great.
She cracked a freaking mountain. And it was just like, she's powerful. I'm digging it.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Kylo's also powerful. I never saw any Jedi or Sith stop a blaster bolt Because, boy, Order 66 would look real dumb if they could have done that.
True. Actually, Vader came the closest twice now. He grabbed Hans in Empire, where they deflected off his hand. But if you watch the end of Rogue One, he actually stops a blaster bolt from coming out of a gun. I was watching it with my son the other day, and one dude picks his gun up and fires, and Vader pushes back against it, and the dude flies backwards, and the gun never actually fires. I was like, well, okay, that was interesting.
Huh.
It wasn't anywhere near as cool as Kylo stopping the bolt midair.
That's because Vader's so badass, he manages to get it before the blaster even actually fires.
That's true. It was like, yeah.
Yeah, I still have Rogue One in my system because I was checking on something that Fantasy Flight is putting into one of their other source books that's coming out. The Snow Wookiees.
I'm really upset that Rogue One is not being added to the Star Wars marathon that they're doing at certain theaters come December.
Well, it's a story. It's not part of the main arc.
True.
It's probably because it's still
so
relatively new-ish.
Yeah. I don't know. I was like, oh man, they're not doing Rogue One. I mean, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to drop $100 when I can sit here and watch them on my 4K television.
But the way it dovetails into a new hope, you would think would
Maybe
be part of the story arc.
Yeah, a little bit. I was kind of hoping it would be, but this is actually, what's really odd is when The Force Awakens the pre-sales went on sale. When it went on pre-sale, I had no problem getting my tickets in December. I actually had to buy my tickets for opening night because the first 3 shows sold out, and they did not do that with The Force Awakens. I'm actually going to have to see it at 10 o'clock because the 7, 8, and 9 shows are all sold out. And it crashed Fandango. Twice, I think. Something stupid like that. It was crazy.
See, this is where it pays to be a 501st member because we troop and then we get to walk in and watch the film.
Mm.
Yeah.
Letting y'all carry your weapons again yet?
Yep. Yeah, it's cool.
Now,
the Han Solo movie finished filming.
Yes. Okay. Since I don't have that visual for the show, but since we're talking Star Wars, and we'll just segue into Rebels as well from here. What do we think about the very lame title? And that's my opinion of it.
I don't think it's lame. I'm honestly not surprised because let's be honest, what could they have really named it?
One Rogue.
One Rogue. Yeah, no, that would have been stupid, and you know it.
Smuggler's Den.
Yeah.
The only thing I would have accepted other than Solo or Han Solo is Han Solo at Star's End, and it actually be about that story.
Yes. Come on, you have Rogue One Rogue. Or 2 Rogues. Because Calrissian's in it too. But no, I guess, it's okay.
Here's the thing. Now they have room for the spinoff of Damn It, Lando.
Oh my god. But yeah, Solo, a Star Wars story. I guess. It's okay. It's not. It's not. I don't know.
The spin-off's going to be Lando, Art of Altering the Deal.
Now, supposedly Vader's going to be in it.
I'm not surprised if they're keeping the origin of Han originally being a member of the Empire.
What are those 2 characters they brought in from the EU? I don't know. I cannot remember their names.
Tag and Binks are actually from the EU per se. They've never been canon. They've always been joke characters appearing in non-canon stuff. So the fact that they're appearing as pseudo-serious characters, probably as comic relief of some sort, is actually kind of a big deal and amuses me.
I think that's actually pretty cool.
They're basically a joke version of Biggs and Wedge.
Now,
at least in general concept, because Biggs and Wedge, Tag and Binks.
Yeah. Now we got to see Rogue One did a really good job aesthetically of pulling off the look, feel, and design of A New Hope era stuff. Rebels has been diving even deeper into that, using a lot of Macquarie's old work for that. I saw a lot of discussion as more Last Jedi stuff was coming out, and we've talked about it here on the show, how the design work, it's almost as if they stopped caring for the look of things. Now, we talked very heavily about the giant pizza wedge, and but when I look at the bombers and I look at those things, the flying little speeders that they have on, can never remember the name of that planet. They named the planet, I can't remember it. They just don't have the same gravitas that the other designs, even from the prequels, had, and I don't know why.
Yeah, they seem kind of ungainly.
Well, the walkers actually fit, because if you look at the stuff from the prequels, the walkers from the prequels, and from the Clone Wars series, and then we see the actual AT-AT, and now that we have we've seen the other walker versions between Rogue One and Rebels, and those kind of things. So we know there are variants of the AT-AT and all-terrain transports that the Empire uses, and having seen them in motion, even with the giant gun on the back, it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. But some of the ship stuff just kind of, it's like, okay. Maybe when they're in motion and I see them, it'll be different, but
I don't know. The front feet on the new walkers just doesn't do it for me.
well, it depends. I wonder if they can run. Can they move faster than that? Just that the regular elephant walk that the original AT-ATs had.
Well, at the same
Probably
time,
not.
is a smaller one out there. Lego's produced a set, and that thing moves kind of like the wooden beach walking things we've seen featured on, some of the stuff Adam Savage does.
Strand beasts.
Yeah, something like that. So that's an interesting concept. That looks good, but the big kind of like fist, it just doesn't seem any more stable to me.
Well, depending on,
it's like, why are they adding all this extra bulk?
I'm just curious whether or not it has shoulders. If it has a simian gait, it means it doesn't walk on four legs; it walks on arms and legs. And I'm just curious whether or not it can spread those front legs out for balance and stuff.
It probably can, considering its purpose is, well, an artillery piece.
Yeah, I would think it has to. It has to brace itself for that giant weapon on the back to fire and that kind of stuff. So it makes sense that you'd have the larger footing. Because, if you watch a gorilla run, you don't see gorillas trip too often and fall down. They can brace themselves because they have a shoulder that moves.
At the same time, I would expect the slope to be greater on the back than pretty much the AT-AT style body. So to me, it just, the whole contraption just looks awkward.
Well, we'll see him in action in a month and a half. A month and a half. 2 months. 2 months. 2 months. Oh, we got a couple of movies to get through before then. I don't have any artwork for the Justice League either. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
When does that even come out?
The 17th.
I've lost all interest in it.
What? Dude, the Green Lantern's going to be in it.
Which one?
Don't know yet. I'm pretty convinced by some of the stuff that I have heard that he's either going to he's going to either be talked about or make an appearance.
Well, if he makes an appearance, I hope it's Jon Stewart.
We know he's going to be talked about at the very least because Steppenwolf says no lanterns.
Yes, true.
Some people are saying it's more Batman v Superman than Wonder Woman.
I don't know. I've heard that a lot of people who've seen it already said it was epic. I don't know. Well, again, I'll find. Believe me, I will be there opening night.
What we need to do is wait until Rotten Tomatoes starts getting critic reviews, and if the critics say it's bad, we know it's going to be good.
Yes.
Right.
Kind of like The Foreigner.
But I'm going to guess that still for the holiday season, Star Wars is still the big one. We have Thor coming out. We've got Justice League. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that falls in between there.
I won't lie, I am looking forward to Thor more than Justice League.
Oh yeah, Thor just looks like a blast. Thor looks like it's going to be fun from start to finish. But yeah, I think Star Wars is still going to be that big. Whoa! It's gonna be the icing on or the cherry on the top of a pretty damn good year for movies. But since we're talking Star Wars, oh, that's Orville. We'll do that. We'll go into Rebels. Just jump into Rebels because that just premiered on Monday.
Haven't seen it.
Well, we won't spoil too much because
Go
I
ahead. Doesn't
I
bother
won't
me
see
in
it
the
till
least.
it's out on YouTube.
oh well on YouTube.
Yeah, I have no television, and the
Oh,
only
okay.
streaming service I have is Netflix.
Oh, okay. Without any major spoilers about it.
It was just a lot of action set pieces. There didn't seem to be a lot of flow necessarily.
Well, I think it was more setting up or finalizing the Mandalorian arc they started last season.
Oh,
Which-
I get that, but it just
Not only that, but finalizing an arc they started in Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a full circle, actually. I didn't mind it. I thought that.
no. I'm not saying I minded it. I just thought there could have been more to it.
Yeah, it was a very, very action packed. It was a lot of action. It was amazing for. I mean, Rebels usually doesn't have that much. It really was action after action scene after action scene. A lot of stuff going on. It delved a little more into the Mandalorian psyche. It delved into God, why can't I think of her name now? I'm looking at a picture of her. Sabine. It got into Sabine's head a little more. And I gotta say, maybe her and Hera are my two favorite characters. Hera is still my favorite of all of them. I'm glad she survives, at least till Rogue One. I can do without Chopper. Really don't like, what's his name, Ezra. Kanan's okay.
At least they're finally acknowledging that something's going on between Kanan and Hera.
Yeah, and they're probably going to acknowledge that Sabine is starting to take a liking to Ezra. Which is funny since she's probably, about 10 years older than him?
I think they're supposed to be fairly similar in age. I think she's older, but I don't think it's 10 years.
I don't know. She was already working for the Imperials when he was a kid.
Yeah, but girls mature a lot faster than boys,
That's true.
too.
That's true. But it was a good episode. It was.
My only complaint, strangely, is not the fact that the armor made of a material that is known for resisting energy being destroyed by a weapon that uses energy, is the fact that that same weapon could then be turned against clone stormtrooper armor, which, as far as I'm aware, is made of a synthetic material that contains no metal.
Yeah, it was plasteel, wasn't it?
It's plastoid.
Okay.
But close enough.
I could have sworn the word plasteel was used in the original writings.
Plasteel is used in the original writings, but it's a different thing.
Okay. Either way, it was I was like, wait a second, isn't their armor more like plastic than it is metal? Which is why it's completely ineffectual against anything.
Well, I mean, if you watch The Force Awakens, when Han shoots the one trooper as they're going into the I forget what to call it. The thing on the planet. Yeah, when he shoots it with the bowcaster and the guy, flies back and hits the wall, you can actually see shards of that armor like fly off and scatter around on the floor when he hits the floor. So, that armor doesn't do a whole lot.
Well, one thing you have to keep in mind, and this is kind of a testament to how much of a badass Han Solo was at his old age, is that a Wookiee bowcaster, a traditional Wookiee bowcaster, not one that's been modified for regular humanoids to use, if fired by a standard human being who is not Han Solo and or seriously a badass, will shatter their arm.
And he likes it.
I that thought had crossed my mind too, But either way, you can just see the stormtrooper armor just
It shatters.
literally shatter.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I found that I mean, could it be a plot hole? Sure, it's a plot hole. It happens. Star Wars is full of them.
Also, bowcasters actually fire solid objects surrounded by energy, so that's why it's shattered.
It's also why it throws people.
It's also why it throws people.
I was going to say it shattered because the guy actually hit the damn post.
Well, when you really want to talk badass, Han might be able to fire it, but his son took a shot and stood.
Yeah, that is, and as a matter of fact, some people have pointed out that was actually something that they probably did on purpose. Is they showed everybody getting hit by that weapon the entire movie, go flying, and then Kylo Ren's like, "Ow!"
I mean,
at the same time, was it a shot or was it a graze? Is the big
hit him hard
question
enough to make him
everyone
bleed.
asks.
It hit him hard enough to make him bleed pretty profusely too.
Yeah, he was bleeding out pretty good, and the thing is, his general reaction was, "Dumb bitch."
Yeah,
that was about it. You know, and I was like, "Ooh."
Now my cure is: did Chewie miss the shot on purpose?
A lot of people have speculated that Chewie had enough of a conflict with both the loss of Han suddenly and the fact that he was shooting someone.
At
he's basically probably his godson, probably.
Yeah.
Probably was enough to throw off his aim.
If we only had somebody who could translate Wookiee, I bet you he screamed "Happy Life Day, bitch." Because they have to tie Life Day into it somewhere. They have to.
Happy Arbor Day.
I would have said, "You got wood." That's much better. But I mean, that's it. I guess that's it for Star Wars stuff. Because Rebels, I did not see anything for next week because I watched it online.
I watched it online too. I did not see a preview. There's probably a preview up on Star Wars' YouTube right now.
But they have said, Dave Filoni said that fans of the show are gonna. I mean, it's much more serialized with a lot less self-contained stories than the past 3 seasons because they're trying to wrap this up.
Yep, there's a preview up on their YouTube. Okay. It's the next week's episode is called "In the Name of the Rebellion" or "How You Choose to Fight." I'm not really sure by the way they have this titled.
There are 2. We're getting 2 episodes a week for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, okay. So we're getting "How You Choose to Fight" in the Name of the Rebellion.
Yes, they're going to be doing hour-long arcs for the next couple of weeks because they're, like I said, they're trying to push it, and they're going to go right up until November and then come back in January. So we're not going to have a long waiting period like we did before. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, and I like the idea of doing, an hour's worth of Star Wars every week. That's all good for me.
Yeah, and I'm kicking myself for not setting the DVR. Damn.
Well, just jump online, man. It's out there floating around somewhere. You have Disney XD at home, right?
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, you can just sign on with your cable company or whatever, or your satellite company, and watch it online.
If they're on the list.
Well, I've got on demand. I've got on demand.
That's the thing, because my cable company's not on the list, so.
They've expanded it quite a bit. I'm amazed you're not on there.
I looked.
Okay. Oh, okay. So where do we go from here? Since we are 28 minutes into this, and we've tackled all of Star Wars. As I trip all over my tongue. So good. I've been doing this for what, 5 years now?
Sorry, I just finished watching a playthrough of The Fractured But Whole, so Timmy is in my head.
Timmy! But, I mean, seriously, we've been doing this, for 5 years now, counting the Shaven Wookiee.
And the Geek EZ before it.
Don't you mean...
Not the Geek EZ Tribbles, but in Ecstasy before it.
Well, I mean, I was only on Tribbles a couple of times. I wasn't a regular. But
you became a semi-regular, and then we branched off to...
Yeah, and then we did the Shaven Wookiee, which was then refurbed into the Geek EZ.
Speaking of which, where is Bob?
He's coming back.
He'll be back. And so will Jawa... What's his number?
Jawa 21, I think.
Jawa 21 will be back.
Jawa 21 with his lovely afro.
Beard. Wait, no. The one with the afro is Jawa 47.
Oh. Where is
21
46?
21
They will
has the beard. 47 has the afro.
Well, again,
now,
you know what
now
sucks?
we know why they wear the hoods.
Because I got sick. And because, I was down for a few days and all that kind of stuff.
That's not where my mind went. I went to a certain song.
Oh, no. It sucks because I was hoping to have the website up and all that other stuff, and it would just all fell by the wayside because it was like, because I lost 2 days and I had to catch up on everything, and it just pushed everything back, so.
It happens.
But it's good because it means I get a little more time to work on the site and get it actually the way, and I'll get a beta up there, and you guys can start throwing stuff on it, and then we'll go live, and it'll be all good. But,
The Misadventures of Daryl and Darryl.
yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But let's go on. Do we want to do Orville or do we want to do Discovery?
Let's do Orville first.
All right. Orville it is.
So, I finally watched all of the current episodes. So I am completely caught up now.
Yay.
I am thoroughly enjoying the show. Even though its numbers aren't the greatest, from inside sources that a few of us know, it would seem that it is looking favorable for getting picked up for a second season. So we'll see from that.
Well,
there was much rejoicing.
It is a decent show on Fox, so it needs to have okay-ish numbers and not great numbers, and not a great fan following for it to continue, because if it's great numbers and a huge fan following, they'll cancel it.
Well, I think it's following right now. It helps I think that it's following the fact that Discovery came out and split Star Trek fandom as heavily as it did, that the Orville being there to pick up the slack helped the Orville a lot.
I will say, as a person who loves both Orville and Discovery, that I do love Orville because it is very much more of a classic Star Trek show.
Yes.
I like to think of it as both of them are Star Trek in the sense of what they are at their core, but Orville is more of the idealism, whereas Discovery is leaning more now towards realism.
True. And Orville is escapism. It has a, even with the dick jokes and the other stuff thrown into it, it still has there's a whimsy about it that you can sit down and just kind of forget life for an hour.
And actually, one of the reasons I kind of like having the dick jokes and everything in it, and also one of the reasons I'm kind of okay with a certain thing that happened in this week's episode of Discovery, is because we're not gonna stop having dick jokes just because we're flying through space. We're not gonna stop railing on our ex-wives just because we're flying through space. I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here, intended for mature audiences. We're not gonna stop saying fuck.
No.
Because we're an enlightened idealist society, because we're never going to be a completely enlightened idealist society. Well, we're still going to be human beings.
I'm just curious. I mean, since they do tie hand in hand, and we'll go back to the Orville, but we'll discuss it when we discover. We'll talk Orville now, because Orville's stories have tightened up. Their pilot episode was all over the place. It was like, where's our feet? It was like swimming in deep water and didn't know where to go. By the time its third episode rolled around, it seemed to have found that footing quite nice. And
we appear to be losing a Roland.
We're losing a Roland.
Yep. I must go and fight the forces of Xeon.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You said Xeon, not Xeno. I'm like, you can go take on the Scientologists? What?
No, he's gonna go fight a different form of space Nazi.
Oh, okay. Oh, space Nazis. Everywhere you look is space Nazis.
Pretty much.
The Krill, I was afraid they were going to make them just like a Klingon wannabe species, but they're not.
They've got a lot of Klingon to them, I'll give them. Yes. Like, the fact, let's be honest, Klingons are the way Klingons are because they're a very spiritual people. they very much follow the way of Kahless, at least the traditional Klingons. Kahless the Unforgettable, and the stories behind that, the sense of honor and everything. So having that in the Krill is very Klingon-like, but the Krill take it in a different direction.
Yeah, it's more of a there's an arrogance that's almost Romulan to them. So they're like Romu clones or something. They're a nice blending of other alien things we've seen, so there's a familiarity to them.
Oh my god.
Although Romulan sounds almost Jim Hadar.
No, that's it. I just got it. What do they look like?
They look like the Jim Hadar.
Who do they act like? Romulans and Klingons.
Yes.
First Ramataclon.
Oh my god. Huh.
Either way, this past episode, the delving into the culture a little bit was refreshing in the way that there were no divorce jokes for one, which was kind of cool.
I can make a few.
Well, no, I mean, because that had been a running joke for the couple of episodes, and I think the open the jar of pickles thing is getting old for me.
I'm actually loving it.
It's like every time. It's
I get that it's a bit. It probably will get old for me eventually. At which point, I hope they come up with something else. Can you open this can of worms?
Hey, we just went offline on YouTube. That's Oh, we're back. We're back.
Would you mind opening up this can of whoop ass for me?
Yes, I mean, there's other things she could open for me. You could start throwing all of those out there. That is really odd. Wow. Did we just... You keep we're only a half hour into it.
So, by the end of the show, is she going to have dated, like...
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't think that's going to be a continual joke. I think it'll keep popping up, but I don't think it's going to be a dead horse.
I just thought it was weird because it seemed like they had almost the exact same conversation the week before.
Yeah, it was almost the exact same conversation. You're right. Because at first, when I was watching the episode, I thought, "Wait a minute, this is last week's episode." But then they took that weird turn into Bortus being able to eat anything, which I thought was hysterical.
I did like the little bit of continuity when the one dude got stabbed in the leg, and he talked about how this is a new leg.
Yeah, that was great. Oh man, this leg is new.
The little because below the knee, yet the one that fell out of the ceiling was up to the thigh.
Maybe to get out of his quarters to get enough balance, he had to use a regenerator that he had in his room. I don't know. We could bullshit that.
We could hold on once. We keep losing our stream.
I blame Google.
It's the Russians.
It's not. I mean, it's not. You guys hear me fine?
It's the Ruskies.
Yeah,
you're
fine.
coming in 10,
you're fine.
5x5.
5x5.
Yeah, this is really weird. We're dropping frames left, right, and we keep going offline.
Well, since we're going to move away from our main subject, I have a very quick question for Jim.
Fire away.
Particularly on your shuttle, does it have a lightspeed drive? Whatever you decide to rename it.
Yeah, it's a quantum drive.
Okay. Does it spin when it activates? No, I'm asking serious.
No.
Recently saw a I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was a preview for some sort of science fiction animated show that's coming out soon. And the ship that they showed in it had a very base, similar design to your shuttle. Which is why when I first saw it, I went, oh shit, Jen's gonna hate this. But it spun when it went to hyperspace or whatever they're gonna do in the show.
No, there's no spinning. There's folding of space, the creation of a man-made sinusoid, basically.
And YouTube says we're back on green stream health.
All right.
Twitch still circling for me, but I hopefully Twitch is working real good. Firefly, if you're out there, I apologize. I have not been going back and forth between Twitch and YouTube, and I forgot Tank is not here, so no one's there to talk to you in Twitch. That's a bad thing about simulcasting on two separate areas. We'll have to figure something out about. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But here we go with this. Oh, we're buffering again. Son of a! Stop with the buffering. Maybe I should shut it off and come back.
YouTube.
Because I actually do believe it's the actual streaming software, and it's not the internet connection.
So something's not clogging your series of tubes?
No, not at all. You guys hear me fine. You guys haven't broken up. Nobody's broken up. It's just the stream keeps dropping. Well, it seems okay for now. We'll see what happens. I apologize, anybody watching right now, because all the buffering and stuff. I mean, it's not on my end. If it is on my end, it's the software. It is not a connection issue. But should we go to Discovery? Are we done with Orville? Are we going to keep talking Orville? Anything? I don't know.
I'm curious. Well, I'm curious to see what else Bortus can eat.
Yeah, I am a little curious.
You know what's funny? That the Orville got around, and they have what would technically be considered homosexual characters, but because their species are only male and there are no females.
Except for once every 75 years.
Yeah, and it's just like, and then even then, the procreation doesn't require a female. It's just weird. It's just like, well, okay. Whereas Discovery does have a gay couple, and all we've seen so far is brushing teeth, and that's the only way we knew, oh, wow, they're a couple, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't very in your face.
Yeah, it wasn't in your face. It was just guys talking, and it was like, okay. But I was watching it, thinking about it the other day, I was like, there's been no uproar about it because of the way it was portrayed. And I think that was sneaky on McFarlane's part. Because a lot of people and a lot of groups got out there, oh, blah, 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 and this, that, and the other thing, and about the gay couple on Discovery. But no one has said a word. I haven't heard a word about Orville's. And they did it first.
Well, they're portraying it in such a delightful way that these two guys, they just love each other, and that's how it is.
But that's how their species is. It's just men.
It's
just weird.
We're men.
We're men in
tights.
Tights.
I will say the makeup on the Orville is really well done.
Oh, it's incredible.
Really, the guys they got working on that show, makeup-wise, are really, really good at what they do.
Wait. Let's get back to Bortus and his mate for a second, because what I'm loving about this is how it's the way they're presenting it is how it is, really.
Yeah, there was nothing about it. It was just, this is how it is.
No, that's just how it is, and that's how it is in the real world too.
True.
At least that's how it should be viewed.
Discovery did that too. Discovery really did that.
It's just a couple of guys, and they're great together, and they found a way to procreate, and they have their little arguments and their tiffs and all of that, but they always manage to work it out, and they've got a great relationship, and it's healthy, and everything's fun, and isn't how it should be.
Yeah, and Discovery.
Isn't that how all relationships should be viewed anyway? And I just think it's so healthy the way they're doing it that they're really they're really breaking some ground here, and I love how they're handling it.
Yeah, and Discovery did it well too. It wasn't gratuitous. It wasn't up in your face. And not to put too fine a point on it, there was an episode of Star Trek Phase 2 or New Voyages, Blood and Fire, where you want to talk about being hit with a sledgehammer. Because they took it in places outside of the norm for Star Trek, and it was. I mean, it felt shoehorned, and it felt preachy, and it felt like it was just like like someone jumping up and down and screaming, "Look at us! Look what we're doing! Look at us!
Look, we're gay! Look,
exactly!
Gay. Look, we're
exactly!"
gay.
Which neither of these shows so far have done that.
No, they haven't. They're just this is how it is.
The most disturbing thing about the Discovery scene was Starfleet issue pajamas.
I don't know. Those toothbrushes are kind of iffy.
That bothered me almost as much as the characters on TNG that used to sleep in their uniforms.
Curved?
The toothbrushes. Yes.
No, the pajamas were curved.
I don't know.
Well, it's that way in the Army, isn't it? You get issued your undies and everything, man, and it's all government issue.
They did not issue us pajamas in the Army.
Well, no, because you just sleep in your T-shirt and boxers, right?
Now,
by the time I was at my unit, I slept in whatever I wanted.
Well, anyway,
we're going to use the. Okay, we use that as our segue into Discovery.
Actually,
go for it.
Oh, go! Wait! Go ahead.
I was going to say there is a topic that we haven't covered that is rather relevant at the moment, and that was the giant robot fight between USA and Japan.
Oh, we'll get to that. We're still working on the TV stuff.
All right.
Oh, believe me, we'll get to that because I haven't watched the video yet. But
dude,
I will watch. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Good.
All right, but we can. I mean, Orville. We have. We're all in agreement. Orville is actually finding its feet, and it's a good show, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and you'd recommend it to other people?
Yes.
I mean, yes. There we go. All right, good. We're good. All right, now back on to Discovery. Boom, boom. Look, they get full screen for some reason. Well, it's because they have a nice full screen banner that I was able to use. The Wolfie saw me say this earlier, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to come right out, and then you guys can keep talking and yell at me and scream at me and all that kind of stuff. After watching this, what is it, the 5th episode? There were so many things that made me go, huh? That, again, it was like, I've already been on the fence about the show just because of the tone, the way it moves, I mean, I don't know. It's still Star Trek, but I'm not one of those.
It feels different.
I know there are people, and there's one of them who keeps coming, who is on the show every once in a while. He's a relative of Taco, who I do believe likes it just because it's new Star Trek, and there's not an actual thought process behind it. I don't know, because the way he's so vigilant and religious about it, it freaks me out. And there are those fans out there, and I'm watching the rift in Star Trek fandom about this show. And those who defend it and those who abhor it, I mean, that's the only word I can use. I mean, they really do hate it. I don't hate the show. It's just not blowing my skirt up, that's the term I like to use. And it's not doing it for me for some reason. And the epiphany I had earlier today was, it's because I know how this ends. They're running on a storyline set in a time frame where I know what's going to happen with this war. And I know what's going to go on with it if this is the prime timeline.
I don't know. After seeing that, what they called a D7, I can't say I know how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, and I've noticed this, is they never really showed the entire ship.
True, and that's another complaint I have.
We only really saw basically what could have been, and had the same basic rough layout as I want to say the secondary hull, as opposed to the neck and the quote saucer section of a traditional D7, and we never really saw if it actually did have a neck or not.
But was not the D7 a new ship in the TOS era?
Yeah,
it was. Yep. As a matter of fact, I think it was introduced right around this time.
I don't know. I would have to go back and watch the episode where it first appears, because I remember them saying that it was a new design. We've never confronted this before, and that it was like something that they had never seen before.
I also can't believe I actually had to do this, but I did have to educate some so-called true Star Trek fans on the reason why Garth of Izar was not on that list of captains, because Axanar hasn't happened yet.
Also, he was a one-shot Oni who went nuts right afterwards, but I mean, again, I will never tell somebody don't watch this show. And my big thing when it came to the F-bomb and stuff that got dropped this week, you know what? It was funny. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. It was the way it was done. It was funny, but again, it was like, are we going to stop saying that word 200 years in the future, 300 years in the future? I don't know. Did Roddenberry
We've been saying it for however many hundreds
I
of
know,
years
but there
now.
was, and I hate doing this, I hate saying this, but there was things that Roddenberry had thought and wanted as humans progress that we would become better than that. But that being said, he's not here right now. So,
let's hope he's not here anytime
Exactly.
soon. That would be a little weird.
Yeah, it would
require a shotgun.
Okay.
That
Here's what Memory Alpha says about the D7 now. The D7 class Klingon battlecruiser was used during the 2256 Federation Klingon War, although these versions had a different hull configuration to ones used in the following decade, despite using the same designation.
Yeah, okay.
I would be a bit iffy right now on anything that gets added to or edited into Memory Alpha because it is still a public wiki.
Yep.
And information is still going to be continuously changing while Discovery happens. As a matter of fact, anything pertaining to Discovery and probably early TOS at this moment, I would not trust on Memory Alpha at least until probably 6 months after Discovery finishes as a series.
Now,
I concur.
As I watched the episode, and I know a lot of people have had issues with the way it was portrayed, the way Lorca was portrayed, the mindset and the things that the way it moved with Harry Mudd and the stupid little spider and all this stuff, and then convenient Starfleet officer being there conveniently, and Lorca not seeing how convenient that was, and that obvious Klingon spy is obvious.
Or Lorca seeing it perfectly, but he's playing along.
He's playing along and he's not letting on. Which, if that's the case, then okay. But the way it was done, it was like, you're that dumb to because he came off like, oh, they used what I said against me. It's like, dude, you're in their ship, you don't think they have microphones literally in every corner in that cell? Of course they're gonna know what you're saying. So I mean that right there, I was like, what? Oh, they're listening to us. Of course they are. You're on their ship. That kind of stuff is just like, duh. But the obvious Klingon spy is obvious. That kind of thing. It was. I
do think he's a Klingon spy. I vehemently disagree with Woofy about who he actually is.
No, I think he's his own. Dude. He's not the other Vok dude or whatever his name is. Because that's going around out there too. I don't think that's who it is.
All the evidence points to it being him.
Well, Woofy got so into it on Sunday night, I told him that if he mentioned it again, he was going to finish watching the episode alone.
I'm sorry. The things that y'all were arguing with me about, even Don later apologized to me about.
the
yes,
tone,
but let's be honest, Don has no backbone. He's a burrito.
No, but the cast it says that's L'Rell, so that's L'Rell.
Okay, either way, I mean he's an obvious plant. And did Lorca figure out on that real soon? Probably. Did they portray it that way? No. Harry Mudd, it could have been anybody.
Yeah, Harry Mudd really could have been anybody. I did love the portrayal of Harry Mudd.
I did. He did a really good job.
It was amazing, but
he's not Roger C. Carmel, but
it could have been anybody.
It could have been anybody. It didn't have to be Harry Mudd.
You could have stuck a beard on Harrison Ford and told him to just be Han Solo, and it would have worked. But,
although I think it was a good nod to the original series by putting that character in there. I respect that.
Now, the only thing I'm not understanding is that a Federation citizen, whether he was in collusion with the Klingons or not, was in a Klingon cell, and Lorca left him there.
Because
a Federation captain. You think he's working with Lorca?
No. I think that's a little bit more of a hint that Lorca's not 100% on the up and up, which, let's be honest, they've been dropping those hints like bombs.
They have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's just another hint that Lorca's willing to take whatever means necessary, and that he's not a true Starfleet captain at the heart of what Starfleet is. It is probably Section 31.
He's a soldier, not Starfleet.
Matter of fact, the fact that he referred to that Tyler guy, he's like, referred to him as soldier. It's not, by a rank, when I'm pretty sure he still had his badge
he was
on.
a lieutenant.
Yep.
Right?
Guys, the number 31 is right on the hull of the Discovery.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
it's
Either way.
It's very much I think it's very much a case of hiding in plain sight in that case.
Now, I had said this earlier. Again, am I going to stop watching the show? No, I'm not going to stop watching the show. I will watch it. I mean, did I stop watching Battlestar Galactica even though I was really getting dragged down by it, and it was like, ugh. No, I kept watching.
You could not stop playing the game of who's fracking who.
Okay, but I mean, it's the fact that there's no. It's kind of like watching the Titanic and expecting the ship not to sink.
See, like you said, I think one of the big problems, particularly with a lot of longtime fans, is that we know where the main overall arc is going to happen.
True.
We know what's going to happen in the war. One of the reasons I'm still very interested in, what is because we don't know what's going to happen to the crew.
True. But the problem there is, aside from Saru, I have no emotional connection to anybody. I could care less whether they lived or died. When what's her name died in that episode when the tardigrade killed her, I couldn't care less.
I expected it to happen. That's why
I expected it. Yeah, and I honestly expect other characters to die as well.
I was expecting it to happen within the first, the third and fourth episode, because you don't last that long in a war being that stupid.
Yeah, and even Saru, who I really, of all the characters, I really like him the best. I mean, it's like, I really don't feel anything for Burnham. Lorca is a complete jackass. Tilly, again, there's nothing there to grab me yet. They haven't done enough with her aside from show that she's quirky and she's outspoken.
I will point this out. Taking Mudd was a liability. They had no guarantee that Mudd would fight the Klingons if they ran into them, or that Mudd wouldn't run screaming down the hall saying they're escaping.
True.
Well, the thing is, we're not really getting to know the characters, except for Saru, really that much yet.
What's the engineer's name? What's his name?
Stamets.
That's the thing. Have we met the engineer yet?
No.
Keep spending a lot of time in engineering.
We haven't met the main engineer. We just now met the doctor, who is in a relationship with the other scientist guy. But we
met him the episode before.
True, but this is the first episode we've actually seen any human emotion come out of that guy. Everything else has always been this. He was blinded by science, no pun intended. And now all of a sudden, when the tardigrade the tardigrade arc, it was like it came and went way too quickly. It was like okay, fast forward, and we got to do this, and we got to do this, and
it'll be back. There's no way that was the end of that.
It has to be, because it's like literally they wrapped it up, they folded it up way too quickly, pun intended, and then they shot into space. And I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, all this kind of stuff, but
was it
cool? And was it cool that what's his name shot himself up? You saw that coming. I actually thought it was going to be Burnham, not him, but.
Yep.
He did it himself.
I knew it wasn't going to be Burnham because Saru restricted her to quarters.
Okay. And even Saru turned out to be a dick in this episode.
A bit.
It was like, man.
I like Saru. I really do like Saru. He's probably my favorite character, but let's all be perfectly honest here. Saru is in a position he should not be.
No.
Saru has
Is he a post-turtle, though?
Saru has no rights being a second in command.
Unfortunately, I think that has more to do with his species than him as an individual.
Yeah.
He puts way too much... I mean, There's a difference between trusting your gut and trusting your prey ganglia.
Well, he's genetically programmed for flight, not fight.
Yeah, which is odd that he was willing to fight this episode. And he was for his captain, he was going to, and
I got the impression.
Undying.
I got the impression, especially with the way he talked to Burnham at the end and the way he deleted the program, that his plan for being in command for most of the episode was to go against most of his instincts.
Okay. Well, the jealousy that he had for Burnham because he did not get to be second in command and learn from Captain Georgiou, and then his unwavering devotion to Lorca to get Lorca back. And all that kind of stuff. I think
his unwavering devotion to Lorca is a misplaced, I'm just going to say daddy issues situation because of Captain Georgiou.
Yes. And he's hoping to learn from Lorca the same way that he was not able to from her. And again, he is my favorite character on the show. And again, he's the only one that, if they kill him off, will that affect me emotionally in a way that I have not.
Are you going to cry?
No, but it's not. There's an identification with characters for some reason, and I can identify with him for some reason. I don't know why, but I identify more with him than anybody else on that show. And to be honest, I could care less. Literally, if they killed Burnham in the next episode, wouldn't bother me in the least bit. If they killed any of them, actually no, if they killed the Doctor, I'd probably be a little upset just because we haven't learned anything about him aside from the fact that he's in a relationship with the other guy, with Stamets. Stamets, is that its name?
Stamets.
Okay.
Stamets, I don't know. Stamets. Stamets.
Ah, Stamets.
Yes, but either way, it's like I don't have that. The attachment to anybody yet. Whereas, like even in the Next Generation, there was a way to, within the third or fourth episode, you started to empathize or feel something for at least one or two of the characters. And in Deep Space Nine, the emotional draw was there from the get-go because you were feeling what's his name, the anger and the anguish that Sisko was feeling right from the get-go, and not wanting to be there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's because they basically started him off in a situation that we were well established with.
Yes, and whereas Discovery, the one character who I was really hoping would go on longer, they killed within the first two episodes, and it was just like, oh, come on with this. I really wanted to see more of Georgiou. And I hope they're not done with her.
I want to see more of the ops officer. She is striking.
The one with the thing on her head?
No, the African girl.
Oh. Yes. But I don't think, is she a regular?
I don't think so. I'm just saying that the actress is very striking.
Yes. I thought you meant the redhead.
No. The redhead is... I don't know. I just thought that... No, she's like the navigators, and I'm talking about the ops officer.
I just want to know what happened to Daft Punk. We haven't seen them since episode 2.
And now we have a completely different weird android type thing on the bridge.
Yeah.
The black and white thing.
Yes. Okay. Another really what the moment for me. All right. In the past 2 episodes now, we have seen that somewhere there was a salvage mission to the Shenzhou, where they recovered her.
They didn't just recover it; they modified it.
What, her telescope? Either way, it was recovered from the ship.
Yeah, that's weird.
Okay, that was recovered from the ship, but they didn't take any key components, like, I don't know, a dilithium infuser or anything else that could be used that way.
What doesn't make any sense to me is the ship doesn't look like it's that badly damaged. It looks like they should have towed it out of there and returned it to service.
It is very much a plot hole.
Yes.
I mean, it's time of war. You think you'd need all the ships you can get.
Either that or you blow it up. You really don't want your enemy to have access to your technology.
Especially if the Klingons haven't been seen in such a long time.
Exactly. You have no idea what their capabilities are. And obviously they can use your stuff because they took their... What was it? It was a dilithium sequencer, wasn't it?
It was a dilithium something or another. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
paying
Either way,
attention.
they went in there and grabbed it real easy.
I
It
was
like,
I was a little distracted by the Klingon flirting.
yeah.
I thought they were supposed to read poetry and throw things.
The Klingon now, the Klingon makeup. I want to see where they're going with this. They have to fit. They have to even this out. They can't say this is prime timeline and not show the other two versions of Klingons. They can't do it.
Well, supposedly by the end of the... Kurtzman is being very weird. He's talking about by the time we get to the TOS time, we'll have explained the differences. So I don't know if that's his way of saying shut up, or if he thinks that this show is going to last 10 seasons.
Well, we've already seen what he is able to destroy when it comes to Star Trek. So I'm going to... but again, Gabe Koner and I were talking about this, and he's said it a couple of times. The Klingon design aesthetic for everything they have shown us Klingon, from the uniforms to the ships and stuff, the ships themselves are just amorphous blobs in outer space. They're never lit, you never see them, you only see bits and pieces, they're overly detailed, there's just way too much going on, and there's no definition of shape. There's nothing recognizable and nothing iconic. So it's just they could be generic ships from, I mean, come on, we've got the stupid flyers from Stargate that are playing Birds of Prey, and all these other, obviously we've seen this ship design before.
Well, to be fair, that design has been everywhere.
It has been.
The generic kind of crescent shape. I mean,
well, yeah, and that's exactly why they
been,
shouldn't be using it here.
Exactly.
It's been, was it Centauri fighters in Babylon 5?
Yeah. But we again, these design ethics have been established, and to take that and poop all over it is a big mistake.
And then we had the mini Lexes in the last episode.
They're not even
so I wasn't the only one thinking that.
They're not even trying.
When it comes to the Klingons and their design aesthetic everywhere is basically the only really big issue that I have with Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Klingons, they don't look like Klingons. The ships, for the most part, don't look like Klingon ships. There was a couple of ships we didn't get a good look at in the first two episodes that looked kind of like Raptors.
Sort of.
But... And these shuttles / raiders, they
stole those. They stole those from Lost in Space.
Actually, did you ever watch Lex?
Lex.
Oh my God, yes.
Brunin G. Much.
So I mean, it's that right there. That is a huge. I mean, that's a huge mistake. I think if you're I mean, it's again. We've had Enterprise. This falls between Enterprise and it falls between. In the TOS. We know what, I mean, there have been established designs that have been altered and updated and worked around, but they worked. Even in JJ's verse, they kept that ideal. While they changed it a bit and the Bird of Prey was different, it still had that Klingon look.
One of my STO, the Somra, the early Raptors in Agents of Yesterday look more aligned with what we would assume them to look like in that time period. Even the Klingon battle cruiser and the Romulan, dreadnoughts in Agents of Yesterday, looking closer to what we would assume they would look like than what Discovery is presenting. And I love Star Trek. I'm really trying to give Discovery a wholehearted, good old college try. But, I mean, I agree. A lot of the aesthetic issues are just bothering the heck out of me because where it's supposed to be in some timeline. And I'm not sure what timeline it is, which is half the problem.
Yeah, and the throw-ins they give you. We got to see Archer, and we got to see Pike and Robert April, which is kind of cool. They now made Robert April completely canon. Because before, his canonicity, I don't know what the word is, was always in either the animated series or just in novels. He was never actually established as a captain in Starfleet until now, which was cool. But those are throwaways. The Gorn skeleton was a throwaway. So it's like you did all these little things to say, oh, look, this looks just like what you know. But then the big things that should look like what we know, or at least be in that evolutionary line,
or somewhere in the frickin' neighborhood.
somewhere. And this is now, you know what the problem is? Watch the opening credits of that show, and you'll see the last 10 seconds of that show why things look the way they do. They have 25 executive producers on that show. It is a show run by committee instead of having a singular voice saying yes and no.
That's a fair point.
When you have that many brains going, yep, you end up with the most generic and dull, and
Mud.
again, you end up with mud. You end up with something that is forgettable. And I'm sorry, but the Klingons, who are the main baddies in this, are forgettable.
Now, if they made like one sect, the ancient Klingons, or even the what were the raiders that hit Kronos? What were they called? It was mentioned all throughout DS9. What is the name of that race? Begins with an H.
The
Herc.
The Herc.
Herc. If they were, friggin' Herc. But when they said all 24 houses have showed up, that's when I went, oh man,
24
really?
great houses.
Great houses. Yes.
Which we've never heard that statement before. They've ever been specifically listed as the 24 great houses, which makes me think that they're still going to lead to them being some different group.
Possibly, but then there's still the Grunt Soldier, and the Grunt Soldier isn't going to come from a high house.
Well, if they're still going with the traditional idea of how Klingon houses work, every Klingon house's soldiers are going to be from that house.
Okay.
So if all we're seeing are ships and soldiers belonging to these great houses at the moment, because from what it seems like is not a lot of the houses are participating in the war, then we're only going to see the ships and the soldiers that belong to those houses. Who knows? We may see a lesser house show up, and it's going to be more traditional-looking Klingons and more traditional-looking Klingon ships.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my epiphany was, I have no attachment to anybody aside from Saru, and the aesthetics of things it's like it throws me because it's like there is Star Trek there, but it's wrapped in such a generic wrapping at times that it's like this could be any sci-fi show, and it could literally, it's like these could be episodes of Andromeda, and nothing would have to change.
I'll tell you what, if I was going to try to write my way out of this, the best thing they could do is have a whole mess of lower houses show up in more traditional looking garb, more traditional looking Klingons, more traditional looking ships. They show up and confront these great house Klingons and say there is no honor in this.
Is there a continuation of that, Jim?
And they wipe them out. They just freaking wipe all of them out, and then what we're left with is what we're used to seeing.
Possibly.
And that would be epic as hell.
Well, it depends on where this war goes.
Actually, you know what? There are 3 names that would really turn the tide for that. And really make that super believable. Kor, Kang, and Koloth. Exactly.
Yes.
Who was the one from the animated series? I'd love to see him thrown in there, too.
I don't recall.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Isn't it one of the ones that appears, one of the 3 we just named is in the animated series?
No, they made up a new character that was like the Klingon nemesis that always appeared. I'll have to go back and look.
Klar, I think, or something like that.
Something to that effect. Either way.
Speaking of which, I wonder if these guys are going to touch on locations. Because we really haven't seen locations since
Star Trek 4.
Star Trek 4?
Yeah.
Maybe 6?
I know supposedly we're going to find out we're like Andorians. We've already seen a Vulcan. So there's that. There's the little throw-ins and stuff. Again, we're 5 episodes into what? 17 episodes?
Yeah. You know what I'd really love to see? Admiral Shran. Probably not.
Had a bit of an issue where my internet dropped for a second.
Okay.
Didn't quite disconnect. But I realized something when you made an offhand comment just a second ago, Adam.
Uh-oh.
You said this could be any episode of Andromeda.
Yeah.
And then it hit me. Spore drive is slip space.
Huh.
Oh,
The mycelium thing that goes through the universe like roots.
Son of the...
Slip space being the nerve cluster of the galaxy, and we're giving God an aneurysm?
What does God need with a starship?
Oh my god, they stole it from Andromeda.
They stole from a show
They stole from
inspired by Gene Roddenberry. Stole from a show inspired by Gene Roddenberry.
holy crap.
Which Gene Roddenberry abandoned because he didn't like it.
But think about it. In Andromeda, when they're going through the slip space, they do those weird flips and turns and shit, and it's all kind of disjointed, and there's after shadows. And the same thing happens when Discovery jumps. It's the fucking slip drive. And I've already said fuck once this time. I'll keep saying it.
That's fine.
Yeah,
now,
fuck it.
Okay, the last episode, the last scene in the episode, please tell me that is not what they're going to use for the Mirror Universe.
I don't think that's what they're going to use for the Mirror Universe.
God, I hope not, because
do
that
believe
is so
it is
stupid.
A straight up reference that we're going to get the Mirror Universe.
Well, here's I didn't see that last bit as for the last 2 episodes I've watched, the CBS thing farts all over anytime there's a commercial, and I have to refresh every time, and it doesn't always refresh properly. So I'm missing that particular page. Tell me what happened, or do you think it's too many spoilers for our listeners?
It's not.
No, we've spoiled a lot.
It shows.
I was right. Core is in the animated series.
It's
Okay.
so is Koloth. It shows Stammet.
Yeah, Stamen.
And
Stamen.
and the medical officer standing next to each other, what is in clearly their quarters, brushing their teeth.
Wearing god-awful matching Starfleet pajamas.
Very matching Starfleet pajamas. And
he's still in the mirror when he walks away.
yes.
Oh, is that what you're talking about? Okay.
He's still in the mirror when he walks away, yeah.
Which,
you see, I thought that would have been something with the mycelium interaction, that there's something weird going on, like something you call Dr. Spengler on.
No, I know exactly what it is, because they dropped it in his conversation with him just a moment before. An entire universe of possibilities.
that he's everywhere.
He
He saw everything, but that's just it. If they use that as an opening for the mirror,
if he evolves into a weird lizard thing, I'm gonna puke.
He's gonna evolve into a weird lizard thing, and then he's gonna bang the captain.
Because that's what Paris said, that he was everywhere and saw everything.
No, he's just gonna turn into a tardigrade.
Oh,
beautiful.
Or that, or a giant mushroom. Great, we're gonna have the Koopa Troopas.
We're gonna have the Koopa Troopas.
That's quality entertainment right there, folks.
I would like to point out that some members of the Star Trek Online community have really taken a hold of the tardigrade. One guy designed a Tier 6 tardigrade starship, which was literally a tardigrade with a saddle strapped to it and then warp nacelles. And another one, suggested Lieutenant Tardy, which is a tardigrade in a Starfleet uniform.
Now,
have you guys seen the post about how would a tardigrade wear pants?
Yes. It's like it's just, well, how does a horse wear pants? Okay, now wait a second. Let's go back. Let's go back. Okay, so the mycelium drive has been, and the spore drive has been basically ripped off from Andromeda's what they call it? Slipstream drive. Okay,
is it a slipstream or slipspace?
Which was a TV show based on an idea that Roddenberry had abandoned due to not liking it. The Discovery is based on a design that was abandoned because no one liked it. So basically, this entire show is all ideas that were abandoned that no one liked that they decided to make a show about anyway. Sorry.
That only half the fans like.
All right, so I just dropped in the picture of Lieutenant Tardy.
Now, again.
So Adam can put it up on the show, but then here we go. The Tier 6 tardigrade.
There's Lieutenant Tardy. Is that Tardy LaForge?
Tardy LaForge.
Oh, no.
That's
Ensign
great.
NX-07. Oh, no.
Oh, dear Lord.
Landing
Spore intake, deflector array, Captain Saddle. I love it, Captain Saddle.
What would have been better is if they drew it in the Spock helmet instead.
Yes, with the big light on top.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Oh, but if they really use that to open up the whole mirror universe, I'm going to be very upset. Because that is not what the mirror universe was. It was not literally a mirror.
No.
I really hope they go somewhere else with that. And if they use that as the mirror.
Idiots on Facebook that are convinced we've been in the mirror universe the whole time.
I just had a really horrible pun of a thought, an idea. Well, Stamets been very snarky the entire series. So would the mirror universe being revolving around him, seemingly, would the episode be called Through a Mirror Snarkly?
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh,
I went there.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Oh, well played, good son.
Well, the cool thing about the mirror universe is that it's not our universe. So he saw our universe, or the universe. He did not see the other universes.
Well,
so we'll see.
If it does end up that we are in the mirror universe, which I doubt we are, because there's it's USS, not ISS.
Yes.
So that throws it out. However, the whole universe of possibilities could mean that we are currently in some sort of alternate timeline, and then something's going to happen with the spore drive that regulates that into the prime timeline.
Now, I will point out that the only thing about being in the mirror universe that would make sense is the fact that after those 2 episodes of Enterprise, the mirror universe has the possibility of being a lot more advanced than they should be.
Yeah, that's actually something I had with a conversation with one of my managers. I have a manager that we just sit and talk Star Trek and Orville while we're doing work, so that's cool. But it was like, if you think about it, if Lorca's aware of he thinks Lorca's aware of the mirror universe, or Lorca is from the mirror universe. And I was like, well, if Lorca is aware of the universe, he may want to use the spore drive to travel there, because if he's aware of the universe, then he knows that they've had technology from a good 10 years and more advanced than where Discovery is right now for close to 100 years. So if they've had that technology 100 years ago, they've probably advanced it at this point, and Lorca may want to travel there to acquire some of that technology to fight the Klingons.
I have a fear for the upcoming rest of the season. Because we have books coming out that are going to be considered canon for like one of the first times they're going to consider novels canon.
Voyager did it first.
Did Voyager have canon novels?
Voyager had 2 canon novels because they were basically considered directly connected to episodes.
Okay, well, that's what I mean. They're going to have them for Discovery. Let's see, who wrote them?
Dayton wrote one.
Yes, Dayton Ward wrote one, and I cannot remember who wrote the other one.
Well, the other one is out already, isn't it?
Wasn't that Michael or David?
Desperation Hours or something?
They're both considered canon, but they talk about the Constitution class vessels, and they actually are on a Constitution class vessel books, and they explain why the uniforms look different and why things are different.
Yeah, it's because they're flagships.
Yes, they're the flagships, and they have different uniforms, which are much more casual-looking uniforms comparatively. There's a whole aesthetic stuff, but are they going to bring? I mean, somewhere along the lines, one of these, 12 constitutions at this point? If the Enterprise is around, yeah, there should be at least 12. The Hood, the Enterprise, the Constitution, the Defiant, they should all be in operation and fighting this war. So, how long before the Cage does this take place? 10 years?
Not quite 10 years, I think.
Roughly.
It's before the Cage, or is it before Kirk?
It's before. Kirk is in his last year of Academy.
It's 10 years before Kirk. It's about the same time as the Cage, I believe.
Okay, well, wait a second here. So,
the Cage.
I think the Cage is like 2 years later or something.
Actually, this takes place in 2256, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 2 years after the cage.
Okay, so the episode where we saw them with the Telosians and stuff, that has already happened.
Yes.
Okay, so he hasn't yet gone. I mean, Kirk is still in the Academy. Pike is still captain of the Enterprise. So the Hood, the Constitution, the Defiant, the Constellation. Yeah, the Constellation isn't one. Whatever. The 12 Constitution class vessels are in this war. Somewhere along the line, you would think that Discovery is going to end up in a battle with one of these ships. Knowing the aesthetics that they have changed already, will they take the Constitution and try to fit it to what they've designed already? Or are they going to... I mean, that's kind of freaking me out, because if it does go past 2 seasons, or a first season, and it gets a second season, and it goes on, that's going to have to happen.
I don't think that they would be so ballsy as to redesign that and say it's in the Prime Universe. Unless they want to show it as it did when it was in the cage.
Which I can understand, but even then, you can still update that a bit and get away with it.
But not like square off the nacelles like they did on the Discovery.
Yeah, they'd have to.
Shinzao.
Yeah. So I mean, I would not even mind if something in along the lines of what we saw in the JJ verse, if they just toned down the nacelles a bit, showed up, something to that effect. As long as they didn't go too far with it, but it's gonna have to happen.
Now, here's the question: they've already dropped, obviously, Sarek, and they've dropped hints on Spock.
And they're going to drop. I mean, Amanda's already been cast, so I mean, they've tied it that way. So we already know that
there are actually 22 officially named Constitution class starships.
According to the original series, I thought there were only 12.
Yeah,
probably by the time of the original series, yes. But there are 22 named in total.
Okay, because I know Kirk actually says...
Technically 21 if you want to count the fact that there were 2 Constitution classes named Enterprise. Which still would technically still be 20 because the one that became the Enterprise A was the Yorktown.
Oh, well.
Unless you're Urt, in which case the Yorktown didn't quite make it very far.
Well, the Yorktown. Well, remember in Daryl and Daryl, the Yorktown encountered the Yorktown.
Yeah, it was. We're doing the Adventures of Daryl and Daryl, and our Art's flying around in the Constitution. It's named the USS Yorktown. I almost said Yorktown.
Yorktown registry number and everything, totally canon.
We get to the last mission of the Agency Yesterday arc, which is just before you hit level 10 and go to the 2409. And the Admiral's on the USS Yorktown.
Well, that's just awkward.
With the same registry number and everything.
So here's the best part. Earlier, we were making a joke that the reason that Art has been stuck with Daryl and Dara, which are these 2 goofballs, is because Daryl and Daryl say, the Admiral referred to you as an asset. And then Daryl's like, well, what he said contained the word ass. And then we show up and the same Admiral's in the USS Yorktown, and then Daryl goes, well, now we know why they called him an ass.
What's wrong with you guys?
Everything.
Everything. You posted that on YouTube, right?
Yes, I uploaded it to Geek EZ YouTube. Dude, if you want to know what's wrong with me, when we got to the parts where Daniels is having us look through time, I'm going, oh god, the drugs!
Dear Lord. I have to go back and watch the video now.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
The first episode's like maybe 20 minutes long, and then the second episode's like 2 hours.
That's a long video, dude.
Well, the first episode's literally us doing the very first mission in the Agency yesterday, yesteryear or whatever, and then the second episode's us doing all the other ones. And then running around and goofing around on 2409 ESD. And then me and Tank as Daryl and Darl, without talking to each other, both creating traditional family kilt uniforms without talking to each other about it.
It was creepy.
Well, you know what? In keeping in with the nostalgia TOS, and if you really, really, really need to get a TOS fix, Continues has released their next to last episode, which they nailed it. This is a good episode. If you haven't watched it, go out. It's a two-parter. It's the first part. The second part will be out next month or sometime around the 12th or 13th, I think. I have to give it to Vic and his crew over there. They, when it comes to getting the feel and just making it feel like you're watching an extension of the original episode, they have done it all the way through. They've had exceptional episodes, and this one is no different, and I cannot wait to see how they finish it off. And it's really cool is this episode takes place 3 weeks before the Enterprise is supposed to go home after its 5-year mission and be refitted, and everybody gets reassigned. So they're ending their series right as the series would have ended right before the films. Very well done.
Good.
Very well done. I definitely highly recommend it. But let's move off the Star Trek stuff. So, U.S. and Japan, they finally got the big giant robot fight.
Yes.
See, here's the thing. I was kind of wanting to tie that in when we were talking about Constitution classes. Like, speaking of the Constitution, America.
There they are.
It's worth watching. It's good.
That is.
Hey, I was kind of meh on it.
America, being America, doesn't bring a giant robot to a giant robot fight. We bring 2 giant robots to a giant robot fight.
At the request of Japan, though.
Well, they did have a drone for theirs, didn't they?
What, there's not somebody inside of theirs?
Oh, no, there is.
No,
they're both mechs.
We had 2 giant robots. They had a giant robot with a drone companion.
Oh, okay.
There was one really badly acted scene by the announcers.
Well, I'm just looking at it, and it's kind of creepy because it really does. I'm looking at I have a photograph up on the stream right now of the bots going at each other, and there's something kind of evolutionary, as in like this is the proto. This is like a proto mech, and it's freaking me out.
Oh, they very much Mech Warrior style. I mean, it stands up and everything. Just instead of walking, it has treads.
Kind of scary, actually.
Karatis actually looked more advanced 2 years ago when they announced this, at least to me.
The important question is will they be able to defend the inner sphere against the invasion of the clans? Nothing.
Was that even English?
Yeah, I was trying to think. I was
trying
to come back.
Mech Warrior reference, guys.
I was trying to come up with another mech kind of anime throwback to it, and I just couldn't.
I've got so little Mech Warrior that I've actually watched or dealt with.
Well, to be fair, I don't really know as much about it as I like to think I do.
I have a bag of books around here somewhere.
This was announced, a year and a half ago?
Army.
Yeah,
about.
Basically, the America went, you got a giant robot, we got a giant robot, let's fight!
And then America went and built a whole new robot just for the fight.
I'm loving the fact that they put an eagle on it.
I mean, here's the thing. The first robot they built was just so far underweight compared to the other one that even Japan said, yeah, you're going to have to make some serious mods, otherwise this is going to be stupid.
Well, no.
And that's when they built the second one. And they said...
The Japanese wanted melee combat. Originally, the Americans just wanted projectiles.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that how you want to fight with mechs?
Well, it depends.
Bit of both.
Personally, one of my favorite mechs from Gundam is the gun tank.
I'm just thinking...
And it literally is that's the precursor to the gun tank right there.
Yeah, it's just a tank that walks. That's what I mean. I don't know.
So a Metal Gear?
You don't know, so I'll educate you on what the gun tank is, and I think you'll agree that what we see is the precursor to this.
Educate me, sir.
That is a gun tank.
Yes, it is a precursor to that. Now, is that a melee or is that a just shoot 'em up?
It's a shoot 'em up. It may hit with the arms, but it's a shoot 'em up.
Yeah, and that's what I would think you want to do with. I mean, you just want to fire from a distance. You don't want to get up close.
The one that was designed to only fire from a distance got taken out in one punch from Karadas' giant metal fist.
Giant metal fist. That's not something you hear very often. Taken out by one giant metal fist. I don't know. I bet you those guys inside were having a blast. Either that or they were pissing themselves.
Bit of both.
Probably. Oh, Tank's not here, so we can't talk comic books because you guys don't read comics like me and Tank do.
Sorry.
Not new stuff, no.
Right now I'm job hunting like a fiend. It's getting like scary over here.
You can still talk about it while I look for a related thing to what we're talking about.
Well, we're done with Discovery, so we can lose that graphic. I'm trying to think. And we talk Star. I mean, we got Thor Armageddon coming, or Thor Armageddon. We got Thor Ragnarok.
Be right back.
And I'm looking forward to that. Jim.
Hulk versus Fenris.
Yes.
Oh, wait. Speaking of the Thor thing, did you see the Australian newscaster that basically spoiled the film?
No, I missed it.
I'm not going to spoil it here on my show because I'm not going to be that stupid. I don't want Marvel coming down on me. I think Marvel might have actually released it because this dude kept doing it, and he had they had Hemsworth and oh my god, I am really bad. Ruffalo there. And this dude kept asking him questions about a certain character and that character's role in the film, to the point where, I mean, Hemsworth actually slams his fist down on the desk and says, "Dude, you can't say that."
Well, have you heard the rumor that Ruffalo might be released from his contract for accidentally leaking the movie?
Yeah, but he didn't really leak the movie. I mean, he leaked audio for about 4 minutes. If they really release him from his contract for forgetting to hang up his cell phone, come on. People that's Marvel. That you want to talk bad PR? They didn't release Tom Holland. Well, that was Sony. Tom Holland didn't get released, and all he could do was spoil films.
Yeah, they just stopped telling Tom things.
Yeah, it's true. But no, this Australian newscaster, I mean, he got Hemsworth to the point where he's like, dude. It's like, stop right now. But I guess
shut up.
Quit while you are ahead before you anger.
I didn't look and see because I mean I was dumb and read the article, and of course in the article the idiot went and spoiled it as well for those who didn't want to watch the video. So I mean, so I know, and it really bothers me, but it's not going to make it less enjoyable to watch the film.
Yeah, but still,
it's really that big of a secret?
It's a big deal.
Well, it's like, I remember when I was a kid standing, I say a kid, 17, 18, standing in front of the theater, waiting my turn to see the latest Star Wars film, and some guy comes out, sees a bunch of his buddies, he's like, "Oh man, it was awesome! And guess what? Darth Vader is Luke's dad!"
What?
Right in front of everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Spoiler alert, man. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people do that.
And there was nearly a riot.
Should have been.
Yeah, there should have been a riot, but
because then what we ended up doing, everyone files in to see the movie, and we all sit down with our popcorn and our soda, and we sit there and we wait to see how it's divulged. And then when it happened, we all kind of went, "Oh, there it is."
Yeah, and that's. I mean, it's the same thing. It's exactly what this was because it is a pretty big story, point that this guy kept hammering, and he said it like 5 times.
Oh my God, what a moron!
And it was like Hemsworth finally was like he slammed his arm down. He didn't like knock things off the table or anything. He was like, "You can't say that." And I mean, it's like, duh. The movie's not out yet. Movie comes out in what, 2 weeks? 2.5 weeks? But either way, it's not going to spoil my enjoyment of the film.
Well, kudos to Hemsworth because he's a stand-up guy. Obviously,
he is. Yeah, I mean and you know what? They didn't spoil it. They didn't do it. It was someone else did it. Now, how he had the information, I don't know. But either way, it was like, because I mean, I don't know if they've done press screenings for it yet. So I don't know. But you, Jim, being the only one at the Geek EZ who has seen, I was supposed to see it, but I got sick. I was supposed to go see Blade Runner 2049.
I can't believe none of you guys have gone to see it. I'm shocked, actually.
I was going to go see it.
Money!
I'm kind of unemployed still for over a year.
Yes.
I just can't afford it.
I'm sorry.
There was
It's
there was health issues on my end.
Yeah.
I'm also sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
but I mean, I will go
It
see
happens.
Okay, without being spoilerific, because I'm
Yes.
sure there are others that haven't seen it yet either. But I'm going to say this: it held to the original very closely. It followed through. It picked up nicely. All of the elements there that you would expect. It was beautifully shot. Oh my God, it was a gorgeous film to watch. Extremely atmospheric. And it was a fairly tidy ending, but not exactly.
So it left it open?
It again left questions. It answered some questions, but then it opened up a whole other can of worms.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was an interesting ending. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm hearing where other people are just ripping it to pieces, but that seems to be the trend nowadays. Just take anything good and tear it up. So,
and then there's movies that are mediocre that everybody loves and says it's the greatest thing on cinema. So
I thought it was a gorgeous film. It was just beautiful.
I'm looking at you, Mad Max.
Hey, I love that movie.
2 hours of sand and driving.
Okay, Anakin.
I hate sand.
It's only, I mean, it really, there was no story. Again, it was just driving back. They drove and then they drove back.
That was it.
That's what they did. It was 2 hours of driving someplace and then driving back.
And it wasn't even about Max. It was stupid.
It wasn't a bad film. It just wasn't best picture quality like people were saying. It was like, oh, this. I was like, was it gorgeously filmed? Oh my God, yes, it was. Did it look incredible?
About Max.
It was insanely actiony.
Yes, it was insanely actiony. It was gorgeous to look at, but when it came down to the story of it, it was threadbare.
All right, so here we go. Since you mentioned
and saying threadbare is being kind.
So there you go, Adam. Since you mentioned that how you would want to fight with giant robots is with guns.
Please link Megas XLR.
No.
There you go.
But that would be accurate.
That's nice.
Do you like missiles?
That's what I'm talking about. Everything.
And then there's the link before that, but we'll have to talk about that after the show.
Fire everything. Sorry.
Fire everything. Did you guys? I don't have any literature or anything pulled up on this. It was just something that caught my eye on Facebook the other day. NASA's Ion Drive.
Ooh, yeah.
That it's breaking records and stuff like that.
You mean the ion drive that they say this shouldn't work?
Yeah,
but it does.
That it breaks the laws of physics, but it still works.
You gotta change the laws of physics.
Well, obviously, it's working. I mean, we're talking from Earth to Mars in 40 days.
That's exceptional.
That is exceptional.
What they say? Something like 725 miles a second?
Damn.
Soon we shall have near light speed drives.
That is booking, man.
That is ridiculously fast. And it's just like, my wife even goes, well, how the hell would a human being withstand that?
Well, obviously they'd have to ramp up, otherwise you'd be smeared against the back wall like ketchup.
But even then, I mean, I was like, well, inertia does play in a vacuum and in outer space, but it's different because it's different. It's the slowing down that would kind of scare me. Because
that's why you would need something. They would need to do a slow, steady braking maneuver.
Yeah, like at the moon.
No, but no.
No, about halfway out, they'd have to kind of reverse.
Well, I'm just curious because if this thing is as powerful as they're saying, and it does have the efficiency they're saying, and because if it's constant acceleration, how fast could they really go?
Dude, Alpha Centauri, here we come. You know?
I mean, think about. If it's because it's exponential. When you're talking about in a vacuum where you don't have there's no force against you, where you're not going to slow down. I mean, you just keep going, and until you hit something. So, I mean, or you hit a gravity well or something like that. I mean, there are going to be gravitational pulls and stuff like that, but the speed that you can get, I mean, especially if you take that sucker and slingshot around the moon while accelerating, dear Lord.
Yippee!
And I mean, and maybe, just maybe with a drive like that, they wouldn't have to worry about windows of when it's going to be in orbit and that kind of stuff, because they could maneuver into where they needed to be.
Yeah. The thing about that is, if the drive is as powerful as you say it is, and it works the way it is, getting the drive working is only the first step, because then we got to figure out some way for, again, people to survive the inertia. We're probably going to have to go back to the drawing board with them old flat suits they wore with the SR-71 and be like, how can we make that work in space?
Either that, or the guys over at MIT are going to have to ramp up their force field and stuff like that technologies. Start working on that crap, because an inertial dampener would be the ideal way to pull that off.
My question is the best way to do it is to, one, build this bitch in space.
Yeah.
Instead of building it on the ground. Basically would kick off a new space race. Hopefully a cooperative one.
Yes.
And basically build, since we don't have artificial gravity, something with a rotational unit that could be used to counteract that inertial dampening, or that inertia effect from accelerating.
Because it would suck that we got to Mars in like less than a month. Problem is, everybody was sitting in a bowl of jelly in the back of the ship. I had to pull them out with a sponge.
The entire crew was extruded.
Yeah, more than likely, the low-tech scenario would be a slow acceleration, and then at a certain point, a slow deceleration.
Yeah, you'd almost have to have an ion drive on both sides, because I can't see retro thrusters or something slowing you down.
Mm-hmm.
No, you would want to save retro thrusters for either landing or a landing unit.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, yeah, there'd have to be an equal force in the opposite direction to slow you down.
Well, obviously, they would have to have a separate stage that would separate from the drive unit.
But how freaking cool is that?
And of course, we've also got to train Matt Damon.
Yes, so he can science the shit out of that.
Yeah, but then someone's going to have to go rescue his ass again.
It was such a good movie for almost no plot.
Yes, it was. It was a really good movie.
Very enjoyable.
The basic plot is like, guys stuck on Mars, and they did such a good movie out of it.
Well, you know what? If we're going to tell reviews of movies that have been out for a while, I just saw The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Did anybody else see it?
No.
Okay.
No, didn't bother.
Did it deserve the panning that it got? I don't think so.
Really?
Was it the movie that it didn't know what it wanted to be? They could not. It was a film that was confused as to what they were trying to say. Did it have elements that were really cool? Yes, it had some really cool elements. And the little drops about the other monsters and stuff that they are planning on, or were planning on doing, were really cool. I love the nod they threw to the Mummy films that had preceded it, where the Book of the Dead gets dropped off of a shelf. And it was it's one of those, I mean, if you knew what it was, you knew what it was. And I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. That was funny. Because, I mean, it just means, this all works in the same universe. Because it takes place in modern times. But I mean, the story itself was interesting, but it dragged. It had a lot of dead areas in the film. But again, I don't think the universal panning that film got, I think only was because it didn't know what it was trying to be. Was it trying to be a horror film? If that was the case, they failed miserably because it really wasn't scary. Or if it was an action film, they got pretty good. I mean, it was pretty good that way. Was it a drama? Was it a monster movie? Again, you didn't know what it was. I would have given it a C. I would not have given it the D's and F's it was getting. I would have said
it didn't deserve the D.
Yeah, it did not deserve the D. She wanted the D in the movie, but it did not deserve the D they were getting. I'll just say that. But the I don't want to. I mean, yeah. I mean, would I recommend it if you're looking for something to just completely just escape for 2 hours? Sure. Russell Crowe, pretty good in it. A very interesting part on play on his part and character wise. Was totally not expecting it until I heard his name. I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" And sure enough, they did what they did. But the opening for the dark universe they were trying to do, where they were brought Frankenstein and Dracula and the Creature from the Black Lagoon and all of those old monster movies and monsters from those old films into a more modern setting, probably would have worked really good had this. I mean, you probably could have edited about half hour out of this film and tightened it up, and it would have worked a little bit better. And if they had come out and said, okay, this is an action film with Tom Cruise and mummies, instead of trying to be creepy when it really wasn't creepy. But again, I give it a C. Maybe a C minus.
Now, did you see the original Mummy movie?
Oh, which one? The one with Boris Karloff?
Actually, I was thinking of the Brendan Fraser from the 90s.
Oh, yeah, I've seen all of those.
I really enjoyed those.
Oh, yeah, and those were more Indiana Jonesy, though.
They were Indiana Jonesy, but they had just the right amount of humor in all the right spots.
Well, the first one did. The second one kind of meh. And
well,
the third one was off the rails.
Third one was trash.
Once you get out of Egypt and start walking away from the Egyptian mummy thing, it doesn't work for me, I don't think.
No, it doesn't. And the Scorpion King was not that great.
No. The Scorpion King was... The fact that ILM did those effects...
I couldn't believe ILM did those effects. They did a better job in Star Trek in the 80s than they did in that.
Yep. That was horrific. But again, would I recommend it? Only if there's nothing else.
Okay.
Seriously, only if you go like to the red box and there's nothing else in there you want to see, and you're like, oh, you know what? Let me kill 2 hours. But that's about it. I mean, my wife enjoyed it. She thought it was okay because she wanted to see it. She was like, oh, I wanted to see that. And I will say I can't never remember her name. The chick from Star Trek Beyond, and she was in Atomic Blonde. The Latino actress. What's her name?
I don't think she's Latina.
She's not Latina? I don't know. Either way.
I don't believe so.
She does a really good job as the mummy. She does a good job. And she brings I don't find her extremely attractive. She brings a sensuality to the character that was definitely needed. She did not do a bad job. Tom Cruise actually didn't do a bad job. He was a little squinty. You know that where everything was happening around him and he really didn't know what was going on, so he squinted all the time? Everybody else around him did pretty good, though. Again, let's see. Not a great film, not a horrible film. It's a film.
Okay.
And next week I will have my review of Batman vs. Two-Face. Because I have not watched it yet. It just came out yesterday. And I was going to do the review of the Spider-Man Blu-ray, but I haven't watched that yet either.
Well, then what good are you?
I remember when we were going to do shorter shows.
We should do shorter shows. Oh, last thing I'm going to say on this, since I'm on the topic of films and DVDs and Blu-rays. One of the biggest concerns, I don't know, who else does digital films here?
Like I stream.
When you buy like a DVD, you don't buy DVDs or anything and get the digital copies.
Oh yeah.
I haven't in quite a while.
I either get a physical copy with a digital copy, or I just get a digital copy.
Okay. The idea of digital copies, whether it's through iTunes or Google Play or Vudu or Ultraviolet, the problem with that is all the different houses, all the different movie houses, like would use different setups. Like Disney would go to iTunes, and Warner Brothers would go to Ultraviolet, and Sony would go to Vudu, and all these. They were all over the place. And then Disney came out with Disney Movies Anywhere, which connected to your iTunes account. So if you had movies that you had bought and had a digital copy on iTunes, it was now all in one place. All your Disney films were on a single platform. Disney then, I don't know how it happened, but all of a sudden now Disney Movies Anywhere went away and is now being replaced by Movies Anywhere, which is a slowly growing. Not everybody's on board yet because Paramount films aren't in there yet, but one of the issues were you had films all over the place. You had films on iTunes, you had films on Google, you had films on and they would not cross over. You could not get a code for a Google movie or a Vudu movie that would work on iTunes or vice versa. Now they do, because Movies Anywhere, which is now an app and a website, you connect Google, Vudu, iTunes, and Amazon. All those accounts get connected into one, and all of your films are now available on all your platforms, as well as Disney or as the Movies Anywhere app. The only ones I have not seen that have not transferred over are the Transformers films I have on digital copies of that came with my Transformers, and my Star Trek films. So Paramount's the only one I don't think has actually jumped on board. But it is kind of cool now that movies that were not in my iTunes when I opened iTunes up to plug my phone or something, now all of my digital films are there. And if I open my Vudu account, all of my digital films are there too. And on my Google phones for the kids, all the digital films are, and my Android phones, and I open Google Movies, all of the films are there too. Everything I own is right there, and it's all cross-platformed all of a sudden, and it's awesome. So if you're a digital movie collector, and this has been an issue for you for years, and it has been an issue for years for a lot of people who collect films digitally, that they did not cross platforms, there is now a way to do it.
Actually, I haven't gotten a lot of the digital editions because they've all had their own platform, and I said F it.
So again, Vudu, Google, iTunes, and Amazon. You can connect those, and you get free movies right now if you do it. You'll get Jason Bourne, Big Hero 6, what was the other couple? I don't remember exactly, but if you go, it's moviesanywhere.com, and you go in there, you sign in, you make an account, it's free, and you then connect all your different platforms that you have digital films on, and if you have digital codes laying around and they're not expired, punch them in, and your films will then show up on all your platforms.
Nice.
It's very cool. And again, I was not a big digital film person because, again, they were all over. They were scattered. And now they're all in one place, and it's kind of cool because while they don't have an app for smart TVs or Roku that I've seen, Vudu does, and Google Play does, so I can now watch my digital films right there on my television without having to get the Blu-ray out. It's very cool. Even though the Blu-ray copy and the Blu-ray video is still much better quality. And I will yell at people until the cows come home on that one. It's still a better visual. But that's what I wanted to say for those out there who do digital, because that's geeky stuff. That's nerdy stuff.
So are we doing a last call?
Yeah, I'm calling last call. We're at almost 2 hours.
So my
Closing
last call
time.
Well, one is really not really a last call, but one, if you're really interested in some of the backstory stuff, keep an eye on Seth MacFarlane's Twitter. He's kind of leaking stuff like that. He also answers questions, such as the name of the class of the heavy cruiser that we saw in the most recent episode.
Oh.
But my last call is a very quick, dirty review of The Fractured But Whole. South Park, The Fractured But Whole. And that it suffers from the same issue that the Stick of Truth had, in that it has every single thing it needs to be a good quality AAA $60 game, except for content. It's just as short as the first one. It has a really, really shitty ending. Very sort of anticlimactic ending. and it's only if you're going to blaze through it, you might get through it in 4 hours. If you take your time, you might take 6 or 7.
Well, that was the problem. The Stick of Truth had it too.
Yeah, which
fast.
in this day and age where you can get a game for $60 that'll last you 40 to 60 hours, charging $60 for a game that's only going to last a couple of hours, regardless of your IP, is kind of laughable.
Yep.
So wait till it's on sale for $30 at most.
Yeah, wait till it hits eBay when somebody says, "You know what? I don't want this anymore." Is it only a digital download or is it physical copy?
Well, pretty sure like it's got some physical copies, but I'm pretty sure like most things you can get it like on Steam and stuff.
Okay, because that's why I waited for the Transformers Devastations. When I started reading the reviews and people were saying they were ripping through the game in 4 hours, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? They're charging what they want, $45, $50 for that." And I was like, "I am not dropping that kind of money." And then it went down to $29, and I was like, "Well, maybe." I found it for $10. I grabbed it. It's like I'll pay $10 for 4 hours of fun.
So yeah, it's got everything it needs to be a great game, and in fact, if Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole were one game together that led into each other, it might be worth $60, but it's not. And the fact that it took them this long to make both of those games, and both of them have that little content in it and that kind of iffy story content to it, if they make a third one, it's probably going to fall under the same issue. That it's going to have everything it needs, except for the thing it needs the most.
Spread the story out, guys. Spread the story out. Come here.
All right.
Anybody else? Last call.
Nope, just playing some classic games. That's about it.
My last call would be Battlefront 2. Is it worth it? After playing the beta? Probably not.
Is it worth it considering everything, including character progression, is tied to the loot boxes? No.
Nope.
Also,
it was glitchy.
not really a last call, but you can look forward to me next Tuesday attempting, at the very least, to try and stream Destiny 2.
Excellent.
Good luck.
Good luck. But yeah, I actually have video of me playing the beta, and every glitch and every hang-up and all of that were right there in there. It was like, oh, look, I'm flying, and now I'm over here, and I'm flying, and I'm over here. And I'm like, no, my internet connection is 5x5 right now. I should not be glitching this bad.
I also like the fact that I just complained about EA's lockboxes, and then mention a game that's published by Activision, who just filed a patent for using matchmaking to sell microtransactions.
Did you? Where was it? I just read. Was it you, Alistair, that posted the thing about the gambling?
So much for last call.
Sorry, no. Well, this is last call. This is
a member of UK Parliament officially asked the Secretary of State for Digital, Social, Culture, and basically dealing with digital stuff, culture, gambling, stuff like that, the steps that they are going to take to protect vulnerable adults and children from illegal gambling, in-game gambling, and loot boxes in computer video games. Meaning that this member wants to, hopefully, by them, apply the same regulations that the Isle of Man does to the whole of the UK in regards to loot boxes and similar, methods. In which case, they would be regulated as gambling, which means that statistics would have to be posted, and that they would have to actually contain something worth monetary value equal to.
Which is the problem right now with EA's games.
That's the problem now with most games with lockboxes is that they say, "Oh, you're getting something worth your money," but we don't know if that's true, and we don't know how what we're going to get. I mean, China now requires video game companies to post statistics, but if it picks up in the UK, it'll probably pick up a lot of other places. Maybe not here, because America.
Yeah.
But if it picks up in other places, we might see loot boxes change. We're probably going to see video game companies try and fight it. But I do personally believe that charging someone $60 for a full feature complete game, quote unquote, and then adding in a bunch of microtransactions for other extra stuff. It's kind of shitty.
That is massively, especially, what was it? Somebody did the numbers on it. 1,300 hours. You'd have to grind at the game on Battlefront. You'd have to play 1,300 hours to acquire everything through the game without paying for it out of the lockboxes. That's ridiculous. And those things that you acquire are required to level up in the game, and they are add-ons to it that you can buy. Oh, look, you can buy this, you can buy that. I'm sorry, if I'm dropping $80, that's fine. If the game was free to play and you download it and it was all good, and that's how you got your money out of the game. But when you're dropping almost $100 for your Ultimate Edition of the game, and then you got to drop another couple of grand just to go anywhere, that's ridiculous. That's just stupid. But
there was Forza recently that they had said that if you bought the special version of the game, you were going to get a permanent boost to certain stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a lot of people bought it and everything, that boost is now just temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've introduced a model that a lot of people are referring to as pay to earn, in which you have to pay to earn modifiers to actually properly earn things in game.
Which, yeah, that is... sorry. That is going to hurt them, and the backlash has already started.
Yeah.
So...
that kind of stuff just makes my skin crawl, man. It's
Battlefront,
horrible.
I would not doubt that Battlefront 2 is not going to have the same huge following right off the bat that the first one did, even though it will have a standalone game, and it will have, I mean, the graphics are insane. It really is a gorgeous looking game, but I'm not going to drop that kind of money on a game that I have to keep dropping money in every time I want to play the game and get an upgrade. I'm not going to do it.
And even some of the games that we play all the time aren't, innocent of this. Star Trek Online recently, and still to a degree, is under fire for it, because previously they released bridge packs. There was the TOS bridge pack and the DS9 bridge pack. They contained a full, almost to scale accurate, set accurate bridge for both the original series Enterprise and the Defiant. And both of these packs included weapons, uniforms, pets, stuff like that, and they cost around $20. And then there was the Voyager one, which you had to pay $30 to $40, but you also got a ship included with it, which is itself a $20 to $30 purchase. But then, right around the anniversary for Next Generation, they released the screen-accurate Galaxy-class bridge set by itself for the same price that you used to be able to get a bundle that had a bridge and a bunch of other stuff with it.
Yeah, I was flipping through. I was like, yeah, well, that's kind of cool. Oh, look, you only pay a little bit for that, a little bit for that. Holy cow! What was it? The Zen price on that? Just the bridge. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I actually posted a picture of the C-store page for just bridges. It's $400, which is $4, $4, $20.
Yeah. So, there's that.
Anyway.
Anywho, we're out of here, folks. We'll be back next week with more Star Wars Rebels, more Discovery, more Orville.
Destiny!
Unfortunately, I have not seen any of the DC shows. I don't know if anybody else has. I haven't caught any of them. I gave up on Inhumans after the first show. I just stopped watching it for some reason. Maybe
so did a lot of people.
So did a lot of people from Own Gathering. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. won't be around until January, so...
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to come back this month.
No, I thought it was January.
Either
way,
we'll look into that during the week.
Yes, we will. We'll look into that during the week. We're out of here. See you later. Say goodnight, boys.
Good night, boys.
For all of you out there, wherever you are, remember, the light at the end of the tunnel may be you. Good night.
December 1st.
Oh, okay. December 1st. Firefly, thanks for listening over there on Twitch and being loyal to the end. And we'll see you next week. We're out.
Aren't we supposed to be too old for that to be funny?
Thanks for joining us at the Geek EZ. We have some big changes coming down the road, but to find out about them, you have to hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter to find out what's new and what's coming down the road.
Oh, that wasn't a fart.
So do us a favor, subscribe.